Good evening, SHU alums. Welcome. Looking forward to talking sports this evening. I'm Dan Pascone. I am live figuratively from Red's Pub, our pub on campus. And it's great to be with you all tonight. And thanks for joining us. I think we got a really, really fun program for you. This is one in a list of many different virtual alumni events that we've put together for our alumni community. As mentioned, I'm a two-time grad and I'm with the Alumni Association. I'm actually the immediate past president of the Alumni Association, and we exist as an association and as a board to serve and better connect our alums to our great university. So that's what the Alumni Association is all about. I've been working closely with many of our board leaders, most recently on building out a regional chapter model. So we've got chapters all across the Northeast now in various regions. And now I'm excited to announce that we're expanding even further west. So we're officially announcing this evening that we have launched a Chicago/Milwaukee chapter. So that will be the furthest west that we've been. And we plan on continuing to expand our footprint throughout the United States to allow our alums to connect within their local regions. And with that, I'm really excited to have my esteemed guest and partner for this evening, Dario Melendez, who we'll talk about Dario in a minute. But Dario is going to be leading our Chicago-Milwaukee chapter. So Dario, welcome to the Alumni Association and congratulations on leading this brand new effort.
Well, thank you so much. This is awesome. I mean, this is what pioneers do, right? We expand. Men advance destiny. We're expanding west, and it's really exciting to be able to give back to the university. I just moved out here. Well, just moved. Relocated the family about 2 years ago. I'd been in Milwaukee before, and I missed the school, man. I missed the university. Like, we were living in Fairfield for 4 years, so I was able to get over there, help out a little bit if I could. But it's really cool that we're taking this next step. It's cool to see how much we're growing. That's what I really like.
Yeah, totally agreed. SHU is all about growth. So this is just another example of that growth. So let's talk a little bit about you, Dario. You are a Bally Sports Wisconsin reporter for the Brewers and Bucks. So tell us a little bit about sort of your career path coming out of SHU and getting into sports media.
So if you guys don't know, I mean, so all the Fox Sports regionals, which is, if you're in New York, it's Yes Network and SNY, that's the equivalent, became Bally Sports at the start of baseball season. And it's been great, man. I mean, the good thing about Milwaukee is that you have two teams that are good. I mean, you have the Brewers, who have been in the postseason the past 3 years, and they have an MVP in Christian Yelich. And you have the Bucks, who have been the top seed in the East, come up short the past two postseasons, but you have Giannis, and then you had Drew Holiday this year, and you have Chris Middleton. So, and then there's that team in Green Bay, the Packers, who know a little bit of something about playing football and have a pretty darn good fan base. But it's been a fun journey here. And like I said, for all of us, it all started at Sacred Heart. And I get a little jealous because I see the facilities that the kids have now. I'm one of those guys now, that the students have now. And it's really cool to see how far we came, because when I was there, our studio was for TV was the church where the president's office is. And we would kind of like move desks out of the way and put a green screen up and put like a digital desk over there to kind of make it look like we're on a TV set. And now you see they have like actual studios. They're producing stuff for ESPN3 and SNY. So it's just so cool to see. And like that propelled me, like that the experience at Sacred Heart, propelled me to Fort Myers at first. Then my first stint here in Milwaukee at Channel 12, I was here for 2 years, and I go to Bristol, and I go to Sports Center for three years. I was going to say 3 seasons because I'm in baseball mode. So I do Sports Center for 3 years, and then I go over to New York, and I'm anchoring the sports show at New York One for 2 years before Charter decided to think that sports wasn't important in New York City. I mean, who likes sports in New York? But it worked out really well, because then I was able to get back here, and these teams have been great. I had a radio show in town as well. So it's been a lot of fun. And I mean, as all of you probably know, I mean, your success stems from Sacred Heart, like the foundation. So it's really cool, except for Pat and Bobby, and their success is still remedial.
We'll be taking plenty of shots this evening. I like that we started early and often. So I know that your wife is in the business as well, and you've got some family roots out in Wisconsin. So what made sort of relocating there make sense for you?
So I always joke, and when we found out we were doing this, the friend chain from Sacred Heart, myself, Pat Pickens, Bobby Anderson, Brian Fitzsimmons, and Steve Conoscenti, we were all texting like, you guys better show up because it's going to be fun. And Pat goes, what does it feel like to be married to a professional journalist? And I told him, well, I don't know, ask my wife. But the funny thing is, my wife is phenomenal. She is the Tom Rinaldi of college game day for females. She is multiple Emmy Award winning reporter. Jen Ladd is her name. And she's phenomenal, and she's great. She's an amazing mother, obviously, and a great feature and host for ESPN. And she also has a radio show in town here. But she's from Northern Illinois. We met here in Milwaukee. I was working at the ABC affiliate. She was working at the Fox affiliate. And when the opportunity arose to maybe get a little closer to some family, because her parents are about an hour away, we have 3 kids, it just made sense. So, I mean, not that I don't like living in the Northeast because we loved it, but just by moving out here, we were able to upgrade our home. The taxes are a lot cheaper. Adult things that I never thought about. Like, I never would have thought if I crossed this line, it's a different county tax code and I save a bunch of money. And that's pretty much what happened out here. So it's been a great move for our family, and being able to put down some roots, and it's led to this point right here, trying to extend our alumni network.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I know you have 2 regional Emmys of your own, but my sources told me I did
these things.
Oh, there we go. We're showing them off.
No.
Okay, so those are cool, but my sources tell me the most interesting thing about you is maybe that you own a Guinness World Book of Records. So tell us a little bit about that.
So that's because I'm a fool. Here's my amazing Guinness certificate that I got in the mail like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. So like I said, I have a radio show in town, and we always just kind of like to have some fun. So we had someone who was a Guinness World Record holder. He has like 150, and I asked him, look, one that you're not doing, kind of give me a heads up on, and maybe we could try to do it on air. And we did. So we contacted Guinness, applied for the most donuts stacked blindfolded in a minute, because that takes a lot of strategy and a lot of athletic skill. And we were able to complete it on air, and it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. So I'm the Guinness World Record holder for a very prestigious category, which is most donuts stacked in a single minute blindfolded. And it was 8. So really setting the bar high there.
Well, congratulations, my man. I think it's all downhill from there. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about our agenda for the evening. So we're going to go wide range of sports. We're going to talk to Dario about his thoughts on a couple different sports, and then we're going to allow the audience to participate in 2 different ways. So first off, if you want to submit a question that you have questions about a specific sport topic, send it through in the chat. I see that some people are already using the chat. Somebody wished me a happy belated birthday. I appreciate that. But so send your questions through in the chat about our sports topics, and then we're going to be doing trivia intermittently throughout the program. And the winners of our trivia at the end are going to get a chance to get some nice SHU swag. So let me show that off really quick. We've got a nice Pioneers T-shirt here. Then we got a T-shirt and hat combo, and then the winner is going to get the Megaload, the T-shirt, hat, and duffel bag. All right. So make sure you participate in the trivia. To do so, there's a separate application, and we suggest you just do that application on your phone. So keep the Zoom up on whatever you got, your computer, your iPad, and just grab a different device to do the trivia. And if you haven't already done so, we know that a bunch of people have already logged in. Go check out the email that came out from the SHU Alumni Association earlier today, because it had all the specifics on how you can participate in the trivia, and we'll show the leaderboard along the way, and then we'll announce our great winners at the end. So So with that, let's kick off our first round of trivia. We're gonna get it out to the group. You should see the questions on the app, and then I'll read them as they go, and then we'll get in and start talking some sports with Dario.
Ready?
All right. Question 1. Who won Olympic gold medals in the 1912 pentathlon and decathlon and played American professional football, baseball, and even some basketball? Jim Thorpe, Red Grange, Josh Gibson, or Ty Cobb? That's a good one. It's a tricky one to start with. Okay.
I know Bobby doesn't know it.
Bobby doesn't know it. And you got 20 seconds to answer. So we'll move this right along. No Googling. All right. I know everybody's trying to Google, but you're going to have to Google really, really fast if you want to win this one. All right. And the next question.
Do you want to say the correct answer?
Oh, the correct answer was A, Jim Thorpe. Correct answer, A, Jim Thorpe. Okay, let's do it. Let's move on to the next one. All right. All right. Which of these golfers, we're going to talk a little golf later, which of these golfers helped create the Masters tournament? I know this one. A, Bobby Jones, B, Byron Nelson, C, Ben Hogan, or D, Sam Snead? All great players in their own right, but only one of them created the Masters tournament at Augusta. And the correct answer was A, Bobby Jones. All right, next question. Baseball player Jacob deGrom plays which position? A, pitcher, B, first base, C, shortstop, or D, second base? I hope everybody gets this one.
Yeah, but in college, he wasn't what he is now.
Oh, okay, wow, that would have been a little curveball there. Literally and figuratively. And the correct answer is A, pitcher. One person thought it was first base. We'll talk to that person later. All right, next question. As of 2020, who is the most recent player to join the 3,000 Hits Club? Is it Ichiro, A-Rod, Adrian Beltre, or Albert Pujols? All right. Nice wide-ranging list of questions we got tonight, Dario. Some harder, some more challenging, and
I like
all
it
of
so
the
far.
gamut. Yeah.
I'm definitely playing along, by the way. There's too many A's back to back. So that's why I missed the Masters one.
And it was the correct answer was this time we had a good mix here, but D, Albert Pujols. Big Albert.
Ooh.
Okay. Next question. During the 1990s, Michael Jordan briefly retired from the NBA to play which sport? If you watched the Bulls documentary that came out during the pandemic, you know this one well because that was well documented. I thought that was back when there was no sports, so that was like the most entertaining thing you could get into sports-wise back in that time.
It was a great documentary too. I loved it.
It was.
A lot of
I agree.
memes out of that. A lot of memes.
A lot of memes. Yep. And the correct answer was B, baseball. All right, let's move along. All right, our current rankings. Right now we got Rob M in first. Bobby's taking a lot of heat, but he's in second place. And we've got our current alumni board president, Rich K, is in third. Very nice. Very nice. All right. So we will get back to the trivia later. So stay tuned in and stay logged into the app. But for now, we're going to start talking some sports, and we'll start off with some hoops and talk NBA. So Dario, we're coming down the stretch here, getting close to the playoffs. Obviously, you mentioned you cover the Bucks, so let's start with your team. They kind of have a firm lock on that number 3 spot in the Eastern Conference. Give me your outlook on the Bucks right now to make a deep playoff run.
Oh man, I'm gonna sound like a homer. Like that's the problem. You get so close to these teams that it's hard to get away from rooting for them. But man, they're good. They're better than people think, and I understand that. you would have a different opinion of the Bucks if you don't have that collapse in the bubble and you don't have the collapse against Kawhi getting hot 2 years ago. I understand the 76ers don't scare me. I mean, I know we're going to open this up in a second, but I would like to see if anybody thinks the 76ers are a legit team. I think they still have a lot of holes. And Brooklyn, my biggest thing with Brooklyn is, are they going to be healthy? I mean,
Sure.
you look at Kevin Durant, he's injured all the time. You look at James Harden, he's missing games right now. Kyrie's always been an injury liability. And on top of that, they don't play defense. Like you see what the Bucks did. You get PJ Tucker who can lock down. Drew Holiday's the best defensive guard in the game. Giannis knows a thing or two about playing defense. Same with Chris Middleton. The biggest thing with them is like, are you going to be able to stop them enough to score more? Because you're going to score on the Nets. I mean, the Nets defense is just atrocious. But I really like the Bucks' chances. I mean, what they've been able to do. Coach Bud, Mike Budenholzer kind of tinkers with the lineup a little bit, tinkers with what he wants to do, because the past 2 seasons, it has been such easy sledding for the Bucks in the regular season that when they get to the postseason, the playoffs, and they face adversity, they don't know how to handle it. So you'll kind of see him almost put his team in bad positions just to see if they can fight their way out of it. So I really like where the Bucks are heading right now. You had a 2-game series against the Nets next week here in Milwaukee. And I mean, that could really determine first or second seed right there.
Yeah, sure. And you mentioned last year in the bubble, obviously they had an earlier exit than was expected based on how they came in. Do you think that last year's playoff challenges have any lingering effects on them heading into the playoffs this year?
Not really, because it's an entirely different team. The one knock on Coach Bud was that he played his bench too much. Like he was using a 10-man rotation in the playoffs. And you just don't see that. He always thought it was because you want to keep your guys as fresh as possible. So Giannis, what's crazy about him is the points he was putting up. He had one of like the least minutes in all of the NBA played by any starter. So he was doing that on like 34 minutes a game, if that. So this offseason, John Horst, the GM, kind of goes out and it appeared to get a weaker bench. You bring in Bobby Portis, you bring in Bryn Forbes, you re-sign Pat Connaughton, you get rid of Robin Lopez, you get rid of Kyle Korver, one of the most prolific three-point shooters in the history of the game, and you trade for Drew Holiday, shipping out Eric Bledsoe. This team is totally different. Like it's just such a totally different team. The starting 5 is amazing. It would have been even better if that Bogdanovich trade doesn't fall through the cracks. We can get that if you ever want to. But yeah, I mean, I really like this team. They have a really good flow, good rhythm, and then trading for PJ Tucker right before the trade deadline, I kind of think put them over the top, because you face the Nets, let's say in the Eastern Conference Finals, you put him on KD, that's gonna be a tough matchup for KD, because then you could put Middleton on Harden, you could put Holiday on Kyrie, and then who guards Giannis? Blake Griffin. I can tell you right now, we've seen Blake Griffin the past 3-4 years in Detroit. That never ends well for Blake Griffin. So I like their chances. I like the way they match up.
All right, so you're bullish. You mentioned kind of the top 3 seeds who have kind of separated themselves in the East. Anybody that you look at in that conference on the below the top 3 that you think have a chance of making any noise in the East?
You always have to worry about Miami, I think, just because Spoelstra is such a good coach.
Sure.
The Celtics, I'm sorry if we have any Boston fans, they're not going anywhere. I understand you get Evan Fournier. Tatum's really good. Brown's really good, but they just don't have the horses right now. Miami with Butler and Bam and Duncan and Tyler Hero, who's a local kid here in Milwaukee, went to High School, which is a suburb. It's in Greenfield. Doesn't matter. But Miami is one of those teams that if you get them in the playoffs, if Victor Oladipo comes back healthy, which has always been a thing for him, it could get interesting. But outside of that, it really is Nets, Bucks, Sixers gap. And I just don't know if this is the year that you see a team like the Heat, who took advantage of the bubble, make it to the NBA Finals.
You still have yet to mention the hottest team in the East right now, which is
let's not even go there.
Which is my New York Knicks, who are actually matching up with Chicago tonight. So give me no mention of the New York Knicks, the hottest team in the East.
You know why they're so hot? Because they're a dumpster fire. That's why they're hot. Look, I mean, they are much improved. And I covered the Knicks for 3 years when I was in New York. And I mean, I loved covering them. I thought they would be better when they had the team with Rolo and Derrick Rose and Carmelo and Porzingis. But the problem is the Knicks are going to nick. I mean, that's just what they do. Julius Randle has been amazing. Thibodeau,
Yeah.
I always tell people, Thibodeau is one of the best coaches ever. The problem is he wears on you a little bit. Season 1, everything's fine. Season 2, 3, 4, he doesn't know how to take his foot off the gas. So he kind of wears on you a little bit. The Knicks are a great story. They're not going anywhere. I'm sorry. They're just not. Like if they match up with the Bucks, Nets, or Sixers in the first round, it's going to be a quick vacation for them.
Okay. All right. So they got to hope to avoid that matchup.
I mean,
and
what do you think? Do you think they're going to?
I think if they get into the 4 or 5, they can definitely win a series. And I think they have an outside chance of pulling off an upset in the second round. I do. And I think that Thibodeau's done an amazing job. He's got him playing defense. I haven't seen him play defense, since Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley were there. And Randall he has been – I have not seen a player improve that much. I can't remember seeing a player improve that much. So he's really been much improved. So I'm just going to stay positive and ride the wave and see where it takes us, because it's been a long time coming for us Knick fans. All right. So before we move on, any thoughts on the Western Conference?
The Suns are good, man.
Yeah.
The Suns are surprising people, I think. If the Lakers can't get healthy, you write them out. I like what the Clippers do. Look, the Clippers shoot threes, and then that's what the NBA is right now. You can never look past what Jokic is doing out in Denver. I mean, he might be one of the most underrated superstars in all of basketball. Dallas doesn't have the horses, but the Suns could get interesting. I mean, between Devin Booker and what Chris Paul's been able to do out there, that could be a really interesting team to keep an eye on. If I had to, outside bet, maybe Suns Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals, that could be a fun little matchup.
Who's your MVP? You got Jokic as your MVP?
I mean, to be honest, you look at the number, it should be Giannis again. He's going to get MVP fatigue, but if you look at the numbers, it's not even close. But if I had to pick one today, it'd probably be Jokic.
Okay, got it. All right, well, that was great. Appreciate you talking some NBA. So with that, we're going to do is we're going to launch our next round of trivia, and this one I think is going to be focused on basketball. So we'll kind of keep it in that theme. So break those apps back out, and let's get ready to answer some questions. And the first question is, in 1984, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar passed what other player as the NBA's all-time leading scorer? A, Oscar Robertson, B, Jerry West, C, Wilt Chamberlain, or D, Bill Russell? A little classic NBA question here. All right, and votes came in basically 2 different options. Let's see what the correct answer was. C, Wilt Chamberlain. All right, moving on. Which NBA player earned the nickname Big Country? I remember Big Country. A, Theo Ratliff, B, Bryant Reeves, C, Joe Smith, or D, Michael Finley? I actually just watched a CNBC special on Joe Smith with A-Rod. That was interesting. Big Country, which one was it? I think most people got this one correct, and the correct answer was B, Bryant Reeves. Great nickname. All right, next question. Which of these NBA players never attended college? A, Anthony Davis, B, DeMar DeRozan, C, LeBron James, or D, DeMarcus Cousins? And the plot thickens. All right, and everybody was on board for this one. I think everybody remembers C, LeBron James. I remember watching him in high school. All right, next question. Phillips Arena is which NBA team's home venue? A, Indiana Pacers, B, Atlanta Hawks, C, Washington Wizards, or D, my New York Knicks?
Definitely the Knicks.
See if Daria can sway some votes here. All right, most folks were aligned here, and the answer is B, the Atlanta Hawks. All right, and the final NBA question.
We have 6 more.
Oh, we have more. I'm sorry. We don't. It's not the final NBA question. We've got
I
more.
like
Let's
the
go.
whisper. We have
Yeah.
6 more.
Who is the only player in NBA history to average at least 30 points and 20 rebounds per game in a season? A feat he accomplished 7 times. A, Michael Jordan, B, Julius Erving, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Wilt Chamberlain?
You know Dan.
I do know that one, and it seems like most of our participants do as well. The correct answer is D, Wilt Chamberlain. These have been good. All right, next question. Which city hosted the 2020 NBA All-Star Game? Man, that seems like a long time ago. A, Cleveland, B, Los Angeles, C, Chicago, or D, Houston? Maybe it's because I tried to wipe it from my memory. I actually don't even remember at this point in time. It seems like it was like 10 years ago.
Well, hint, hint. What are we here for?
Yeah.
Record for the most with 5 starts.
All right. Let's see what so this was a pretty good mix. At least looks like our participants didn't really remember as well. And it was, to Dario's point, C, Chicago. All right. Next question. Which of these teams did the Chicago Bulls face twice in the NBA Finals during the 1990s? More Bulls trivia. A, the Portland Trailblazers, B, the Utah Jazz, C, the Los Angeles Lakers, or D, the Phoenix Suns? All right, this is an interesting one because I think they faced all of those teams, but who did they face twice? And I think most of our folks got this one right. The answer is B, the Utah Jazz, the last 2 against Karl Malone, John Stockton, and the Jazz. All right, next question. In 1947, which team won the first NBA Finals? A, the Philadelphia Warriors, B, the Baltimore Bullets, C, the Minneapolis Lakers, or D, the Rochester Royals? This is a good one. This is going to test some people, I think, Dario.
I have no idea. Lifeline.
I'm with
Use a
you.
lifeline.
All over the place. Yeah, the votes were all over the place, and the correct answer was A, the Philadelphia Warriors. Okay.
Boo. Shut
So
up.
Dario, I'm not feeling Philadelphia this year, but the Warriors had it going back in 1947. All right, next question.
Pat.
All right, how many NBA championships did Larry Bird help the Boston Celtics to win in the 80s? So another team Dario's not very bullish on this year, but back in the 80s, Bird and the boys. A, 3, B, 5, C, 4, D, 2. All right.
If it wasn't for those Bird Celtics teams, the Bucks in the 80s were a beast with Marcus Johnson and Sidney Moncrief, but they just could not get past the Celtics.
Couldn't get past the Celtics. All right. Team was pretty aligned on that one, and the correct answer is A, 3. Next, one more NBA question. Let's see what we got to close out here. Which of these players was known as Dr. J? James Worthy, Julius Erving, Magic Johnson, or Dennis Johnson? Dr. J, one of the great nicknames in sports history. All right. It seems like everybody was pretty aligned. Correct answer, B, Julius Erving. All right. So let's get out of the trivia now and back to talking sports with Dario. And now we're going to pivot and move over to baseball. So we're about a month into the season now, Dario. And you mentioned in your intro, covering the Brewers has been great because you got a good team out there, and they've had a pretty good start to the year. So give us the breakdown of your local Brewers, and then we'll go around the league a little bit.
If you don't know the Brewers, David Stearns, who's the president now, Matt Arnold's the GM, they're all about depth. And what they were able to do this year is really bring in a lot of depth because they've already been challenged. You look at their outfield to start the year, it was Christian Yelich, Avi Garcia, and Lorenzo Cain. That's 2 Gold Glovers and an All-Star. And then they go inside Jackie Bradley Jr., who I know a lot of people out in the on the East Coast know. And the question was, why would you do that? Well, you can never have enough depth, and that's already been tested. Yelich has been on the IL for 10 days, same with Lorenzo Cain. So Jackie Bradley Jr. comes in. You have a lot of really good prospects on the farm systems that have come up and competed, and they just got back from a road trip. I believe they lost the Marlins today. I don't know if anybody watched that game. There was a crazy interference call that's going to get talked about a lot, where they had to use Zach Godley. They brought up because Brett Anderson got hurt. It doesn't matter. There's a slow roller down the first base line, and Diaz, who was a former Brewer prospect, the guy they actually traded him and Lewis Brinson to the Marlins for Christian Yelich, was running in the infield grass. The pitcher scoops the ball, gets it to the first, but the pitcher was called for interference, even though he was in the grass. And it's blowing up right now. They lose the Marlins. They lost that series. They just come back from a road trip where they swept the Padres out in San Diego, beat the Cubs again. 3 series already against the Cubs, and they beat them all. They won all of them, I should say. So they're going to be a good team. The starting pitching is stupid good. When I was covering the Mets, I used to start with Sandy Alderson a lot. And he always said a GM's philosophy when putting a team together is you pay for pitching, you develop hitting. The thought there is when you draft these pitchers, they're going to have issues. You're going to have to pay for reconstructive surgery on the UCL. You're going to have to develop them, get them back on track. It's just a really long process. Well, Milwaukee's a small market. We all know that. So you can't really take that approach. So they've developed these young guys and traded for 2 of them. And now they've all kind of hit their stride at the same time. And Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, who has 47 strikeouts and 0 walks to start the season, has been as good as Jacob deGrom. And that's saying something. Brandon Woodruff's on the same plane. Adrian Hauser, Freddie Peralta. I know people might not know this, but the Brewers have the number 1 starting ERA in all of baseball. I just think about that. You would never think that for the Brewers. So you add that on top of some really good hitting, some good acquisitions that David Stearns was able to pull off. And there's a reason why this team's been in the postseason 3 times in the last 3 years, when before that it was 3 times in 30 years. So it's really cool to see what Craig Counsell, who's a local boy, and David Stearns, Matt Arnold have been able to do with this team.
Yeah, very cool. And just a reminder to the audience, feel free to send questions through the chat. It'll come directly into us, and we can tee them up for Dario. Who do you see as the main competition out there in the NL Central?
The Cardinals. You look at the Cubs, they just don't have the pitching. Like they just don't. We've seen them 3 times already, and the Brewers have won that series each time because the pitching has faltered. The Reds are going to be the Reds. I mean, they have a couple good pitchers in their starting rotation. They have good bats, but just not timely enough. Pirates are irrelevant. Sorry if anybody's a Pittsburgh Pirate fan. Well, the Cardinals, there's something about the Cardinal way. They have just enough pitching, maybe not enough starting. Bullpen's okay, but you have Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. They just have a really good offensive baseball club, and that would be the main competition, I think, for the Brewers. I think it's going to come down to those 2 guys, those 2 teams, I should say, for the NL Central. Got it.
And as you kind of look around the league, both NL and AL, what teams kind of stick out to you to start the year, both either on a surprise note for the positive or a surprise note for the negative?
We could stay out east if you want. I mean, surprise Red Sox and Mariners, surprise. Like, I never saw that coming. Yankees, massive surprise. Like, what the heck are they doing? NL East is a surprise. I thought the NL East was going to be a juggernaut, and the Mets are in first place, but they're not even over 500. So it's a weird, and like you have the Mets, the Nationals, the Braves, and everybody's under 500. The Marlins are playing good baseball. But I mean, the class of the National League's the Dodgers. I mean, they're too darn good. It's going to be Dodgers and I don't know, and hopefully Brewers. I love covering baseball, so I mean Dodgers and somebody, and it's going to be hard to dethrone them. So you ignored my
my Knicks, which I was excited and happy to talk about, but you have to throw salt in the wounds and bring up my Yankees. So I see what you're doing there tonight.
What's going on there?
I think we're gonna get it figured out. We're gonna get it figured out. We
better.
It's gonna warm up, and the bats are gonna warm up.
Oh, okay. It's the weather. It's the weather. We're gonna blame the weather.
That's it. So we got a comment. So somebody's a Pirates fan on here. So you're making a lot of enemies tonight, and he's saying his Pirates are a surprise so far.
Well, no, they are a surprise, but they're not. They're going to be like every other pirate that ship's going to sink. No one walks around and see pirates anymore. Like they did come in here.
So
they
beat
the Brewers in a series. I mean, they beat the Brewers in a series. Game 3 of that series, I think, went to extras, and Colin Moran. I mean, just he's always been a Brewer killer. But I mean, if we're being honest, the Pirates, they just don't have the horses, man. I mean, ever since that Glasnow Meadows trade to get Chris Archer, we all know how that worked out. They don't have the weapons, the pitching staff, the bullpen. I mean, Colin Moran's their best guy in the starting lineup for offensive production. He's great, but that's not saying much. It's just they're very surprising that they're not 7 games below 500 right now. So yes.
So they are a pleasant surprise. Do you see any does the game feel any different? Do you see any long-term effects of having the shortened season last year, specifically with like pitchers not going putting in the same amount of innings that they normally do? Do you see that impacting the back half of this year at all?
I don't see any impact negative. What I'm seeing is 2020 was irrelevant. Okay. I mean, you look at guys like Christian Yelich, and before he went on the IL, Christian Yelich was horrible last year, and he was batting 300 before he went on the IL. Omar Narvaez, who, when the Brewers lost Yasmani Grandal, all-star catcher, one of the best guys in the game, to the White Sox in free agency, they traded for Omar Narvaez, who was supposed to be one of the best hitters, hitting catchers in all of baseball. He was $3 million, still on his rookie deal. Cheap, smart move. Last year, he was terrible. And this year, he's batting .450 when he's in the starting lineup. He's just a hit machine. So what I'm seeing is it's hard to put any stock in what we saw in 2020 because baseball players are creatures of habit, creatures of routine. There was zero routine. There's zero habit. Now you have a little bit more of a normal season where you can't go out when you're on the road, but you can at least gather with players in rooms and stuff. You can have some interaction. You have a normal season length, and you're kind of starting to see the byproduct of normalcy for these guys and some routine for these guys. And it's been paying off, especially here. And look, all around baseball, guys who had struggled last year, their numbers are kind of back up, except for that team in the Bronx who just don't know how to play baseball right now.
All right. With that, we're going to move along. All right. So we're going to move on to the baseball trivia. Next, we're going to be talking to a little NFL and with the NFL draft starting tomorrow night. So thinking if you have questions or comments for Dario on NFL, we can certainly take those. And we'll conclude our baseball segment here with a little trivia. So let's get back to those apps and back to the trivia board. All right. So Pat's in first, Dave's in second, Bobby's in third.
Someone needs to check Pat. He's cheating somehow. Same with Bobby. He's cheating too.
They're the quickest Googlers on the planet. All right, let's get into some baseball trivia here. First question. Back to the Yankees, throwing salt in the wounds. Which New York Yankee was named the most valuable player of the 2009 World Series? Nick Switzer, Jorge Posada, Robinson Cano, Hideki Matsui. I was at that game 6, so I remember it well. I was at that game, and I think most of our fan base remembers that one. It was Hideki Matsui. D had a great series there against the Philadelphia Phillies. Remember it like it was yesterday. All right, next question. Opening in 1912, what is the oldest Major League Baseball stadium? Dodger Stadium, Yankee Stadium, Wrigley Field out by you, or Fenway Park? All great baseball towns and all legendary stadiums. Look like we gave him a little extra time on this one. I hope Bobby doesn't go and start Googling.
Yeah, he's definitely Googling. Cheater. Cheats McGee.
All right.
Oh, no.
All right. And most of our group is aligned, and the correct answer was D, Fenway Park. Classic. All right, next question. Major League Baseball observes Jackie Robinson Day in which month? This is a good one. July, B, June, C, May, or D, April? Got the old number 42 retired across baseball. Officially, once Mariano Rivera hung up the spikes. All right. Most of our folks felt it was April, and the correct answer was D, April. All right. Next question. Joe Torre managed which MLB team to 4 World Series championships? A, Boston Red Sox. It almost feels wrong even reading that answer. B, Minnesota Twins. C, New York Yankees. And D, San Francisco Giants. Boy, those were good times. Those were good times. Everybody was aligned, and it, of course, was C, New York Yankees. All right, next question. In the history of MLB, Pete Rose has the most hits, Roger Clemens has the most Cy Youngs, and Barry Bonds has the most home runs. What do they all have in common? You can't say steroids because I don't think steroids were around for Pete Rose. So A, they were all born in Ohio. B, they all played at least 24 seasons. C, they're all right-handed. Or D, they're not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's a good one. And everyone felt it was the D. They are not in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and that is correct for 2 different reasons. Obviously, we don't need to go down that road. All right, next question. As of 2020, which of these teams has never played in the World Series? A, the Houston Astros, B, the San Diego Padres, C, the Arizona Diamondbacks, or D, the Seattle Mariners? All right. And a little bit of a mix there. And the answer is D, Seattle Mariners. The Yankees actually beat the San Diego Padres. So I remember that one. All right, next question. Where did the Dodgers win the first of the franchise's 7 World Series titles? A, Buffalo, B, Cleveland, C, Brooklyn, or D, Washington, D.C.? Dodgers obviously moved west along with the Giants. Where did they start? Everybody was aligned with the correct answer, C, Brooklyn Dodgers. Next question. Major League Baseball's Washington Nationals used to be which franchise? A, Montreal Expos, B, New York Giants, C, St. Louis Browns, or D, Brooklyn Dodgers? Washington Nationals, what did they used to be? And our team was pretty much aligned with the correct answer, A, Montreal Expos. All right. Next question. Born in Baltimore in 1895, what was Babe Ruth's actual first name? A, Bernard, B, Edward, C, Jonathan, or D, George? I'll tell you how I know this one, Dario, and it's because of the movie Sandlot. Sandlot, if you're a Sandlot fan, which I'm a diehard Sandlot guy, you would know this one. And our group did. D, George Herman Babe Ruth. And last baseball question. Which pitcher holds the record for most career no-hitters? A, Tom Seaver, B, Nolan Ryan, C, Bob Gibson, or D, Pedro Martinez? All electric pitchers in their own times, but who has the most career no-hitters? All right, and everybody was aligned with Nolan Ryan, B, Ryan Express. All right. So current standings, Bobby's still on top, Pat in second, Rob in third, but it's a close race. So we've got one more round of trivia to separate yourselves. So let's switch gears now, Dario, and we got the NFL draft tomorrow. One of the great times of the year. I've been doing mock draft after mock draft, trying to figure out who's going to go where, trying to figure out how many quarterbacks are going to be picked in the top 10, with my Giants sitting at 11. So give me your overall takes on this year's drafts. What are you thinking with the quarterbacks? Do you expect any trades? And then we'll get to the team that you've started to cover, which is the Packers. So give me your overall thoughts first.
I think it's a pretty deep draft. You're looking for offensive lineman and receiver.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to be able to get guys anywhere, and especially with your Giants. If Daniel Jones is the guy for the future, if he's your future, which, I mean, he showed some potential, you got to get some weapons around him. You need some wide receivers. I mean, I got to cover the Giants for a couple of years, and Odell Beckham, Brandon Marshall, Sterling Shepard looked like a really good trio.
Yeah.
And then you bring in
how'd that work out?
Not great, Bob. Not great. Especially when you bring I'm forgetting the tight end's name out of Mississippi State. Doesn't matter, but it didn't work out.
I don't want to talk about him.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't work out. So you have to try and get a receiver. And look, you might be able to get a Devontae Smith. You might be able to get a Waddle. I mean, there's going to be quality at that spot if you want to give your quarterback of the future an actual chance. If you're looking at the Jets, there's only one thing they do. I mean, they have 2 first-round picks, and you have to take a quarterback, number one, because that's just the way it goes. If you want to be competitive, if you want to have a chance to make a playoff run and win a Super Bowl, it depends on the quarterback. It just does. That's why when you look at the past Super Bowl winners, it's either MVP, Hall of Fame type quarterback, or once in a generation defense. You don't usually get that fluke team that gets in there with neither. So, I mean, for the Jets, that first pick has to be, I'm guessing it's going to be Zach Wilson. I'm thinking Fields falls a little bit. I know a lot of people thought Fields might go to the Broncos, but now that the Broncos get Teddy Bridgewater, you never know. Packers have a couple needs. David Bakhtiari, their all-pro offensive tackle who just signed the richest contract in league history for an offensive lineman. He's probably going to miss a chunk of the season because he's still recovering from ACL surgery. If you have Aaron Rodgers, then that's the guy you want to protect. So it's funny up here because they don't give Rodgers any weapons. Like he's thrown, you know how many first round draft picks he's thrown a touchdown to? Have you had to take a guess, Dan?
I'm going to say 1.
Oh, good guess. Mercedes Lewis.
Mercedes Lewis.
That happened 2 years ago. So think about that. He's thrown 1 touchdown to a first round draft pick, and it was a tight end that is a blocking tight end, and that happened 2 years ago. Like they just don't give him any offensive support. We saw this last year. You needed wide receiver. It was one of the deepest wide receiver classes in history. And they go quarterback of the future in Jordan Love, who's no one is even seen draft in the year you can't even develop quarterbacks. You go hybrid H-back fullback who doesn't play. You go Boston College with a beast of a running back in Dillon who could be good and will get a lot more playing time now that Jamal Williams goes to Detroit. So I don't expect the Packers to give Rodgers anything. Like you need offensive tackle. Well, you need a wide receiver last year. You need still a wide receiver this year. They're going to draft a safety somehow. I don't know. Maybe look corner. They need a corner. You bring Kevin King back. You have Jair Alexander is one of the best cover corners in the league. Maybe you go cornerback in the first round and try to double up on someone else in the second. But the Packers are really a poop shoot. I just have no idea what they're ever going to do because they defy logic sometimes.
You mentioned Jordan Love. There have been some rumors that they may look to trade, and we know that didn't make Aaron Rodgers happy when they wasted a pick on the quarterback of the future instead of getting him more weapons like you talked about. Do you think that could be a reality if, let's just say, maybe the Patriots came calling and said, we'll take Jordan Love and we'll swap picks with you, and maybe the Packers can upgrade their options in the first round? Do you think Jordan Love could potentially be on the market?
I think it's always a possibility. I know Brian Gutekunst, the GM, was talking about you're always looking to move up. The Packers are really stingy with the guys they draft, especially in the first round. I mean, they'll go to war for any of these guys. And look, I know, and I even said it, I know it's not the smartest thing to do to draft a quarterback when you have Aaron Rodgers, but the last thing you want to do is draft a quarterback when you need a quarterback. You want to have a guy waiting in the wings. And if Jordan Love's that guy, then that's awesome. The problem is if you trade him now, you might be sending a message to the guys in the league that, oh, we've had him in camp. We made a mistake. You need to take him off our hands.
Sure.
So does he have some value? I mean, I was looking at maybe the Broncos, but they get to Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe the Steelers because Ben Roethlisberger's on his way out.
Sure.
New England's always a possibility. You see what they were able to do with that system. I could definitely see him being traded, but it would take a lot to make Gutekunst move up in the draft and trade this guy that they drafted last year.
Okay. Well, it's definitely going to be interesting, and we'll be tuning in for the draft. I know everybody that is passionate about their NFL team will be engaged in that, regardless of where your team's picking. So let's move along to some NFL trivia, and then we're going to conclude by talking a little golf, which will be fun. Bobby's still in first, Pat in second, Rob in third. So last round of trivia. So last chance to lock in your spot. Let's get to the questions. Which running back set out the entire 2018 NFL season? A, Melvin Gordon, B, Le'Veon Bell, C, David Johnson, or D, Ezekiel Elliott? Who sat out the entire 2018 NFL season? And our team was mostly aligned with the correct answer, which is B, Le'Veon Bell. He's never really recovered since then. Next question. In 2013, who set the NFL record for touchdown passes in a season? A, Tom Brady, B, Eli Manning, C, Peyton Manning, or D, Drew Brees? I know we'll see what everybody thinks. All in my opinion, Hall of Fame quarterbacks there. And a little bit of a mix within our group. So this could be a chance to differentiate. The correct answer was C, Peyton Manning. So we had a few people on the Breeze train there. I was a little bit of a trick.
I love that, in my opinion, all Hall of Fame quarterbacks, because we know you're talking about one guy right there.
You saw that I slipped that in. Yes, I saw that you saw that I slipped that in. Yes, for my guy. Just yeah. All right, next question. NFL Hall of Famers Joe Montana, Joe Namath, Johnny Unitas, and Dan Marino were all born in which U.S. state? A, Texas, B, Ohio, C, Pennsylvania, or D, Florida? Joe Montana, Joe Namath, Johnny Unitas, and Dan Marino. That's a heck of a class. Let's see what we got here. A little bit of a mix here. Things are getting interesting. And the correct answer is C, Pennsylvania. All right. Next question. What former NFL quarterback has won 5 Associated Press MVP awards, 2 more than the next closest player? Former NFL quarterback. A, Tom Brady, B, Jim Brown, C, Brett Favre, or D, Peyton Manning? 5 MVPs. All right. It continues to be very interesting. And the correct answer is D, Peyton Manning. We only had 3 on Peyton Manning there. Okay. Next question. In 2020, what did the Washington Redskins change its name to? The Washington Footballs, B, the Washington Football Team, C, the Washington Football Players, or D, the Washington Footballers? And then the next question should be, what should they have changed their name to? All right. Everybody was aligned on that one, the Washington Football Team. It's been so awkward. You've heard it so many times that you almost can't escape it. Next question. As of 2021, which of these stadiums has never hosted a Super Bowl? A, MetLife Stadium, B, Lambeau Field, C, Ford Field, or D, Mercedes-Benz Superdome? Let's see here. We're got 4 more after this to go. All right. Everybody aligned on B, Lambeau Field. What do you think, Dario? Can Lambeau Field host the Super Bowl? That would be kind of fun.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Green Bay, like that Lambeau area, Titletown, I think it's called Titletown District, is amazing. It's just colder than heck. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've done one at MetLife Stadium, so maybe they can pull that off. That would be pretty cool.
Look, they got lucky because it was gorgeous that day.
I know. I'd love to see a Super Bowl in the snow. We'll see. All right, next question. Joe Montana played for the San Francisco 49ers and which other team during his NFL career? A, the Oakland Raiders, B, the Arizona Cardinals, C, the Atlanta Falcons, or D, the Kansas City Chiefs? Joe Montana, San Francisco, and what other NFL team? All right. All aligned on D, the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay. A few more to go. Next question. Cam Newton played college football at which school? A, Auburn, B, LSU, C, Penn State, or D, Ohio State? Auburn, LSU, Penn State, or Ohio State? And all aligned on A, Auburn, War Eagle. Next one. Which team lost the Super Bowl to the New England Patriots by a score of 13-3, the fewest total points scored in a Super Bowl history? A, the Pittsburgh Steelers, B, the San Francisco 49ers, C, the Los Angeles Rams, or D, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? All right, most everyone had C, the Los Angeles Rams, and that was the correct answer. And last but not least, what position is Jerry Rice known for playing on the football field? A, quarterback, B, fullback, C, tight end, or D, wide receiver? Jerry Rice, widely known as the greatest of all time at his position. Which was it? All right. Everyone had D, wide receiver. All right. Let's tally them up. Let's see who the final leaderboard looks like. Oh, wow. Bobby got taken over by Pat. Pat is first. Bobby is second. Rob is third. So we will make sure to get out your T-shirt, your hats, your duffel bags. Sacred Heart Pioneers, go SHU. Bobby, man, tough way to go out. You were getting the heat the whole time. Oh, man.
Of all people to lose to, you lose to Pickens.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. Too good. Too good.
It's like college all over again.
This is
Always
horrible.
losing to Pickens.
So, I'm never
I love
gonna
it.
do this.
I love it. I love it. All right. Really, really good stuff. All right, so we're going to close really quick with a little golf talk, Dario. So a couple of things that I want to get your thoughts on. I'm a big golfer, and I know that you have taken up the game. So first off, before we talk courses, before we talk about the pros, tell me a little bit about your game.
It's terrible. It's getting better. And the thing is, when you think of Wisconsin, you don't think of golf, but you have some of the best golf courses in the country here. I mean, we just go up to Kohler, which is where Ryder Cup's going to be. You have Whistling Straits, Erin Hills, and Black Wolf Run. I mean, those are three of the best courses you'll ever. I mean, Whistling Straits is the only true. Wow, I'm playing. It doesn't matter. Whistling Straits is phenomenal. That's where the Ryder Cup's going to be. It's absolutely amazing. And I mean, Wisconsin's a golf state, so that's another cool thing about this chapter we're starting. If you're in the Milwaukee, Chicagoland area, we can set up some golf tournaments and just get everybody out there. And even if you're coming from New England, you want to come out, like Lake Geneva, which is equidistant between the two places. It's kind of like the Hamptons for Milwaukee and Chicago. It's phenomenal. You have two amazing Arnold Palmer courses down there. It's a lot of fun. And this is the best time because it is really cold out here. So Wisconsinites really know how to make the most of the summer, and golf's a big part of it.
Yeah, very cool. So Whistling Straits is definitely a very, very special place. They've got a bunch of courses out there, and you know, they've hosted, you know, big PGA events, multiple PGA championships, and obviously the Ryder Cup pushed back from last year will be hosted out at Whistling Straits. So what do you think? And it seems like, golf has done a nice job of getting the fans back. So do you think that Whistling Straits is going to be full-on Ryder Cup atmosphere, jam-packed with fans, like back to what it used to be?
Well, it was just announced that the Wisconsin State Fair is going to happen this year, and Wisconsin State Fair is probably third in the nation. If you go like Texas, Iowa, Wisconsin, it is epic. So if Wisconsin State Fair is happening, you would think there's going to be some type of crowd, some type of atmosphere at the Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits. I was lucky enough to cover the collapse of Medina 2012, 13, I want to say.
Yeah.
If you've never been to a Ryder Cup, it is so cool. It's what golf should be. There's cheering, there's heckling. The guys love being around each other because you don't really get to play in team atmospheres of golf. It's a very individual, quiet, hush game. Man, these fans are talking crap to each other. They're yelling in the back. It's just so much fun. And it's not a Ryder Cup without that. So if we're starting to open up a little bit more here, you would think at Whistling Straits with some social distancing, you'd be able to have that feel again.
I completely agree. The Ryder Cup is all about the atmosphere. Should be a ton of fun. And I know you're looking to set up some local outings in the future for your chapter and local folks and anybody that travels out. Additionally, for those that are located in the Northeast, we've got our annual Pioneer Open, and that's going to be on Monday, June 14th at Sacred Heart University's Great River Golf Club. It's not quite Whistling Straits, Dario, but
it's a great course, though.
It's a great course, and it's on the water. So you get the Connecticut River instead of the Great Lakes.
Michigan,
yeah, exactly. So 6 in one, half dozen another. But it's a great course. It's very difficult, very challenging, and we're happy to have it and happy to be having the Pioneer Open. So if you those of you that are golfers, we'd love to have you, and we've been sending out a lot of emails and publications about that. So reach out and get involved, and we'd love to have you. So Dario, this was a ton of fun, man. I really enjoyed talking sports with you. I even enjoyed you making fun of all my teams. I think you covered the gamut of that throughout the evening. Any closing thoughts for your fellow alums before we shut it?
I'm just really excited. I mean, I know there's not a lot of people in the Midwest, this Milwaukee, Chicago chapter that we're starting on right now. I think we had a couple. But if you're ever out here, I mean, just reach out. I mean, we're all a big community, and checking out Wrigley, checking out Miller Park, checking out Fiserv and American United Airlines Arena. I mean, it's just so much fun out here. And you can make it to some of the golf tournaments, definitely do it. And I definitely think we need to take away Pat and Bobby's wins in this because they cheated for sure. If I know anything about those two, they cheated.
Hold on, hang on. I'm sorry. I want to jump in here. When Dario said he started in Fort Myers, I just remembered that I was one of his references. So Dario would not be anywhere.
I'm glad we muted him. Good. Whoever muted him gets a raise. I don't think anybody ever used Pat Pickens as a reference.
I love it. All right, good stuff. So Dario, thanks for doing this. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. Congratulations on being a part of the Alumni Association and leading the Chicago Milwaukee chapter. We look for big things and more fun events for that chapter, and then for alums located in all locations. We're going to continue to do many virtual, COVID-friendly events, and hopefully soon enough we'll be talking about doing some live in-person events as well. So stay tuned. Make sure that you're on our mailing list and continue to check in and follow the SHU Alumni Association on social media, and make sure you check out the emails as well. Thanks everybody for joining. Dario, thanks for a great time. Everybody be safe and have a great evening.